Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. When all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
Welcome into First Pitch for Monday, June 6th. I am Drew Martin, joined by Brian Leonard in Mid-Major Matt Josephs of SportsMemo.com, Brian at WagerTalk.com. It is $9 Monday. We got 3 games on the slate we're breaking down. We got best bets at the end. Going around the horn here, Matt Josephs on Twitter at Mid-Major Matt. He's 97-74 in K-props this season. We'll get hopefully some analysis here on the show on those, plus some sides and totals. Matt, happy Monday to you. Welcome in, man.
Good to be on with you guys. And yeah, certainly small card today, but there are some decent spots if the weather holds off a little bit in a couple of the games.
We got Brian Leonard as well. He's hot right now. Number 1 in the NHL over the last 2 years combined. 4 of 5 profitable seasons in MLB. He knows it on the ice, guys. He's hot on the ice, hotter than Mid-Major Matt's Mike. And also on the diamond, knows what he's talking about here. And I think he's passing today, which means you're going to get all of his best bets on the show. It pays to listen, guys. Brian, welcome in, buddy.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's nice to be on the show with Matt again. We don't do a lot of radio together, but it's nice to be able to be on the video with him and hear a different perspective here. So I haven't heard from Matt for a while. So looking forward to the games. And as Matt mentioned, a smaller card today, and there is some weather concerns, but we'll try to get you some winners.
That we will. Guys, let's get into it. First game up, we get the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Cincinnati Reds. Looks like it's Madison Bumgarner versus Hunter Green here, Matt. And we're seeing Cincinnati Reds opened, minus 115 favorites, down to about minus 108, minus 109, depending where we're shopping right now. 9.5 being the total. You know, in terms of profile of the two pitchers here, Matt, we get the veteran lefty kind of velocity there, a little bit down, versus Hunter Green, the up-and-coming righty that's going to flirt with triple digits here. What are you thinking in the Queen City tonight?
So, first of all, I think we scratched this game because of the fact that it was essentially going to get postponed later on. But since there is the chance the game will still get played, I think it's interesting to note that the Reds have scored in the first inning in like 5 of their last 6 home games. Their offense has been hot early on. Madison Bumgarner's actually given up some runs in the first inning. So that's something to kind of look at there. And you know, they have the rare 3.5. First 3 under here. Hunter Green, really good the first time through the order, really bad the second time through the order. Of course, if you haven't seen Hunter Green, it's hard to kind of match up against that 100-mile-per-hour fastball. So I'm kind of looking earlier in this game for less runs. And I know Brian is part of his best bets looking for more runs overall, but maybe we see a little bit of a slow start in this game because both pitchers have done well to start out the contest.
Brian, is that what you're looking at? A little more runs here in Cincinnati tonight?
Yeah, I'll touch on this a little bit later in my best bet. And
Okay.
From what I've read, supposed to get thunderstorms at 1 o'clock when the game starts in that area. So it will be raining and there will be delays, but I think they'll be able to get this one in. And like I said, we'll touch back on this when it comes down to best bets.
All right, guys, let's head out to Los Angeles for our next matchup here. We get the Boston Red Sox and the LA Angels. Michael Wacha versus Noah Syndergaard, the slated pitching matchup here, Brian. Pretty evenly priced game. Actually, we saw the Angels open minus 120, kind of bet down a little bit with the Sox taking money as an underdog, 8.5 being the total. Brian, the story here, I mean, the Angels, how many losses in a row? Is it 10? Is it 11? I can't keep count, man. Ice cold Angels versus the upstart Red Sox. All of a sudden, that poor start to the season, Brian, they're sitting at 500 in the AL East standings. They're kind of alive now. What are you liking in Los Angeles tonight?
Yeah, the only way I would look in this one is Boston. They're playing the much better ball right now. Michael Wacha, he's a guy I've been looking to fade, but he continues to come out there and do what he does. His strikeout percentage of only 16.8 is a concern. But Noah Syndergaard, who would have thought? 15.9 strikeout percentage. He's a totally different pitcher than he was earlier in his career. But one thing I do like about both these guys is they're more than a two-pitch pitcher. We see that a lot. We'll see it in the Cincinnati game a little bit later today. But, Michael Wacha has got 5 pitches. He throws at least 9% of the time. Syndergaard's got 5 pitches. He throws at least 7% of the time. So I like guys that can keep you off balance like that. And if you take a look at the hard hit rates from both of these pitchers, that's what they do. Michael Wacha, 32.5%, and Noah Syndergaard, 37.1%. So I lean the under in this game. We've got Ward is out for the Angels. He's been put on the DL. They did bring up Joe Adell, who I got the chance to see here in Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and I think he may be up to stay now. At least I hope so for Angels fans. But Mike Trout, what's he got, 7 straight games or something without a hit? When was the last time we saw something like that? So right now I'm looking to fade the Angels bats, and I think they'll have a problem here against Wacha. And, Boston right now playing much better ball. I prefer Boston in the under in this one.
Okay, I like it, Brian. Good analysis. Matt, coming to you next. Brian mentioned it, 26-game hitless streak for Mike Trout. First time in his career that long of ice-cold streak. What are you liking tonight, Sox and Halos?
So the interesting thing here is the trip for the Angels. Now, granted, look, they had an afternoon game yesterday, but they were in Philadelphia yesterday, and now they're flying across country to take on a Boston Red Sox team. It's already out there. They had just played in Oakland, so the trip a lot less tough on the Red Sox. The thing that I'm looking at here is Syndergaard's K-prop is 4.5 in this one. And I think people will look at some of the outliers here. Boston had 7 strikeouts yesterday against Montas. They had 8 against Hunter Green, 10 against Castillo. But if you look at those guys and you compare it to Noah Syndergaard, Syndergaard's just not striking out as many guys. He did pitch in Boston earlier this year, only had, I believe, 2 or 3 strikeouts in that one. And if you look over this time, Boston is not striking out a ton, and pitchers are not going as deep in these games against them because they've been scoring so much. So if I was to play anything here, the lean would be the under to Thor's strikeout prop. I understand the Angels are fade-worthy right now, but Michael Wacha is a guy I don't necessarily love. I don't love the Red Sox bullpen either. So if I was to play anything in this game, it would be more looking at Thor's strikeout prop under. 4.5 seems just a bit too much for him in this one.
Okay, good stuff, guys. And actually, I think we're going to have a little bonus package due to the Reds game possibly being postponed. We already hit it, guys. Actually, I missed that message from James. But hey, we'll get 4 games in here, I guess. We got Seattle Mariners and the Houston Astros. Want to hit this one, Matt? We get Robbie Ray versus Christian Javier. We're seeing minus 170-ish here. The Astros as the favorite is actually as high as minus 180. 8.5 being the total. Robbie Ray has really struggled. The veteran lefty here up against the Astros lineup that hasn't exactly been great against lefties. However, huge bullpen advantage by my numbers towards the Astros in the later innings. Are you liking anything here, M's and Astros tonight?
Yeah, Robbie Ray has not been good as good as the Mariners had hoped this offseason when they signed him. Of course, the Mariners once again make all these big splashy moves in the offseason, and it hasn't translated on the field for them. Interesting to note for Robbie Ray, his strikeout prop opened at 6.5, went down to 5.5 already. And if you look, I mean, the Astros have had a nice little healthy stretch of not a ton of strikeouts. The trash cans must be going well for them right now because they're just not striking out as much against certain pitchers, although Heasley did have 5 yesterday, which was really interesting. And then you look on the other side, Javier's an interesting case because last game I had his K-prop and he was not very good in the last game. And so we'll see if it was kind of a one week thing. You know, obviously he's seen Seattle before, and the Mariners are a team that they're so hard to back right now. Their lineup has been very inconsistent. So if anything, I'd lean to Houston here. I'm not afraid of Robbie Ray as much as I would be in the past.
Brian, you like it anything in Minute Maid tonight, an AL West matchup?
Yeah, I liked it on the overnight line when I laid 151. Now we're seeing in the 170s here for Houston. And I love Christian Javier. His numbers are elite in most instances, and yet, since he doesn't start very often, he's either a long reliever or starter. He doesn't get the publicity as some of the other guys do. But I really like him here. And you mentioned Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray has just not been the same. You figured he goes from Toronto, goes to Seattle. He should be even better. Well, he hasn't performed well in Seattle. In fact, I'm going to start fading teams that do a lot of off-season moves, bringing in top players, which is what Seattle did. fade them earlier in the season because they're going to be overrated. All of these guys come out and they play for their new contracts and play for their new teams. And there's a lot of pressure on these guys. And you figure by now Robbie Ray would start coming out of it, but he really hasn't. Other than his 27.1 strikeout percentage, he hasn't done a whole lot here. And I liked Houston in the overnight. I thought it was a bargain. Well, it was a bargain. Now it's about where it should be. So still lean Houston, but not enough to play it at this number.
Like it, Brian. Guys, we got one game left. Actually, want to hit the chat box first, though. We got best bets at the end. Brian Leonard, check him out, WagerTalk.com, $9 Monday. Also, check out Matt Joseph, SportsMemo.com, $9 Monday as well. Great day to check out both websites. All plays discounted to just $9, including 5% plays. A lot of guys in the chat box. Happy Monday to everybody joining us live. Please smash that like button if you're liking the content. We got Brian, we got XCal, Buck G, Paco Healy, Jeffrey in the house, Joel Richards as well. And Patty Lopez asking a question here, Brian. It's a good one. A handicapping question. Guys, more than welcome to fire them out here in the chat box, also in the reply section below if you're watching on replay, the Wager Talk YouTube channel. I'll read it out here, Brian. I had a question about losing streaks. At what point do you stop fading a losing team situationally? Do you look for fishy lines or coming back home to stop fading the streak? Great question, Patty. Appreciate you joining us. Appreciate you asking the question. I would start off, Brian, by saying the trend is your friend. I learned that from kind of the stock market, working at an investment bank before doing this as my straight job, Patty. And that was kind of a slogan people said, the trend is your friend. I took that over to sports betting as well. Take, for example, the Angels tonight. It might be the reason you're asking the question. They've lost, I believe it's 11 straight games. Look, I don't want to bet the Angels. I don't want to say at any number, but I'm either going to pass on the game or I'm going to bet against them, look to fade them, because I've noticed that these streaks, when teams are winning, I want to be betting on them. And when they're losing like this, I want to be betting against them. So, hey, maybe the change in scenery will help them. However, usually going on a 2-3 city road trip and then coming back home, that first game back home, I actually look to fade that situation because guys just getting situated back in their house, whatnot. They got their lives going on and they usually don't play as well. At least that's what I've circled. So to answer your question, Patty, I would wait for them to kind of bottom out and start winning again, win a game or two, and then look to bet on the Angels. I wouldn't try to catch the falling knife. So in terms of looking for losing streaks, I'm straight fade on that. That's how I handicap it, Brian. I'll throw it over to you. Do you have any insight here for Patty Lopez's question?
Yeah, I do it totally different. I'm a numbers guy, and I look for value in the numbers. I don't care if they're winning, if they're losing. In fact, I'm more inclined to bet on a losing team than bet on a winning team just because the line has the value. If a team starts a streak and they're like a 120 favorite against an average team, that's saying one thing. But when they get to the end of the streak, and they've won 10 in a row, now you're laying 170 against that similar team. I can't do it. I'm looking for the value. One thing I do, I watch a lot of baseball. I watch more baseball than I do any other sport. Also enjoy watching hockey games because I think you can learn a lot, especially in in-game. But by watching how hard the ball is hit and if it's caught, I mean, in fact, you could just go on the Major League website. They've got stats on that. There's a lot of good websites out there where you can see how hard the ball is hit, the chances of the expected batting average based on that. And you just compare that to how many hits they had in the game and how they did. And you can get ahead of teams starting to find their way out of hitting slumps in that regard. So I look at it a different way. I'm all into numbers. And if a team is on a big winning streak, chances are the line's just too high for me to bet into them.
Okay, good stuff, Brian. Hey, that's what makes a market. Different guys doing it different ways. Matt, any insight here on Patty Lopez's question?
I haven't done as much of the full game stuff to kind of dive into this market other than, it's a tough loss that the Angels had yesterday, the way that, the bullpen blows up like that. You get the lead in the ninth and you blow it again in the ninth. And then there's the road trip and the fact that you're flying back towards the West. So there's just little things to consider. And certainly the pitching matchups, you're going to probably want to back the Angels on an Ohtani day or somebody else like that, maybe a starting pitcher you like or a starting pitcher you don't like on the other side, because the Angels have a lineup that's really good, certainly. So the streak's going to end at some point. It's just looking for the right pitchers to do it against.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brian, good tip there. Paco chiming in here, as well as some other guys. SD, Jeffrey saying good tip in terms of looking at how they're hitting the ball. Absolutely. The final score isn't always indicative of what happened under there. So looking at the underlying metrics can help you as well. So, guys, we got one game left. Best bets at the end. Let's head out to our last game on the card here, the New York Mets and the San Diego Padres. We get Carlos Carrasco versus Blake Snell. Snell coming from the left side here. Matt, we'll start off with you. Pretty much a pick'em price, at least on the overnights when I was doing my notes. Actually, we've seen about a dime move here, 10-cent move towards the Pods at home, going off as pretty much minus 115 favorites. Looking at the WagerTalk odds screen, low total here, Matt. 7 in the hook in Petco. Mets versus the Padres. You liking anything tonight, Matt?
Well, as it always is, it's home Blake Snell versus road Blake Snell, although road Blake Snell pitched pretty well in St. Louis last time out, and he went 6 innings. So that's something to kind of look at here. When you go against the Mets are a team that strikes out more against left-handed pitchers than they do against right-handed pitchers. On the database I have here, they've gone over in 10 of their 14 K-props against left-hand starting pitching. The problem is they've set it kind of high for Snell. 6.5 is a little bit high. Not saying take the under on it, because we've seen guys like Steven Matz had 7. Robbie Ray had 9. Patrick Corbin had 7. So it's not that much. It's a really high number for a guy like Blake Snell, there's a chance he may only go 5-6 innings. And then on the other side, Cookie Carrasco has been really good to me with regards to the K props. His was 4.5. It was plus money this morning. It's now minus money, which means obviously people are taking the over here. The one worry with Carrasco is the walks. Last game he had 5 strikeouts and 5 walks. It's been a little bit of an issue, and that kind of kicks his pitch count up a little bit. But I like these two starting pitchers in this current situation. Maybe you look for like an early under as long as both of them are still in there.
Good stuff from Matt Joseph, sportsmemo.com. And guys, I guess we can, actually, Brian, what are you thinking here? Boston in LA tonight?
Yeah, Matt made a great point about Blake Snell. I don't know if this was the show I talked about it the other day, but every year of his career, his ERA is much better at home than it is on the road. So you do have to pay attention to Blake Snell. And he's a guy who doesn't go more than 5 or 6 innings. And this year he's got a 13% walk rate. So if you've got a high walk rate and you don't go very long in the game, I wouldn't want to bet his over for the prop. I'm not a prop guy, but it's one thing I won't do is if a guy walks a lot, it's tough to bet the over in strikeouts because his pitches will be limited, especially against this Mets team where if you take a look at their strikeout percentages, Escobar is the only one that's actually poor at 24.7. They don't strike out a lot on this Mets team. So I kind of like that myself, but I prefer the San Diego side a little bit here, mostly because the Mets just played in LA. That's a big showdown against the Dodgers. Everybody expects the Dodgers to be the team to beat in Major League Baseball this year, especially in the National League. And for the Mets to come back and win the last few games there, a couple games there, I think it's kind of somewhat of a letdown spot going into a San Diego team who's starting to find themselves. And this is a very deep starting lineup from the pitching standpoint for San Diego. I like their bullpen. If the bats start coming around, they're going to be a very good team. Right now, they're starting to come around in some regards in that situation. Trent Grisham actually burned me the other day with a home run that cost me a victory. But it's a situation for myself. But if I'm looking to play it, I'm looking to lay it with the home team.
Brian Leonard, Matt Josephs, I am Drew Martin. Guys, best bet round could start us off here. Boston Red Sox, LA Angels, Michael Wacha versus Noah Syndergaard. I'm on the Red Sox, guys. Got them plus 110. You can see it written detailed analysis on my page, wagertalk.com, for the free play. Using it as the play here for my best bet on the show. We've seen the market kind of pounce on the Sox on the overnights and early this morning. Now you can get them, about plus 102, plus 103 right now. But for good reason, guys. Wacha against the Angels. His OPS against somewhat short sample size, almost 70 plate appearances, I believe, under a 500 team OPS against. So they haven't seen him very well. Also, last time against the Angels, they already faced once this season. It was in Fenway. He did go almost 6 innings, just under 6 innings, 0 earned runs against this lineup. So he's pitched well. We get the better bullpen with the Red Sox as well, a top 10 bullpen versus the Angels bullpen that hasn't been all that great. And let's face it, we talked about it earlier in the show, 11-game losing streak. It's fade city on the Angels until further notice for me. We get Trout, 26-game hitless streak. Haven't seen that very much in his career. This lineup just isn't hitting all that great. I mean, the last week, bottom 5 in terms of weighted runs created plus number. They're ice cold right now. And the exact opposite for the Red Sox. Top 5 lineup in baseball over the last week. Their bats are hot right now. And Noah Syndergaard, certainly not least here, his last 4 starts haven't been all that great. In fact, not even making it out of the second inning his last time out. So all of that equaling to wrong team favored, guys. I'm on the Sox tonight. That's my best bet. Was plus 110. I guess it's a little bit under plus 105 now. Either way, wrong team favored on the Sox for my best bet. Check out Matt Joseph's, guys. Sportsmemo.com, $9 Monday. He knows his K-props, knows his baseball, knows his college football and college basketball as well. So, Matt, I'll throw it over to you. Any final thoughts and best bet for the show?
All right, so the best bet, and I just checked, the juice is reasonable, or at least I think it's reasonable. John Gray under 4.5 strikeouts for the Texas Rangers. And for those who are not familiar, the Cleveland Guardians are essentially an automatic under team, it feels like, in K-props. Just to look at their last 6 games, they've had 2.5, 3.5, 3.5, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5 as the numbers here. And we're getting a 4.5 with John Gray. The Guardians have gone under in 23 of their 31 games against right-handed starting pitching. And they're averaging just 3.84 strikeouts in those games. You look at John Gray so far this season in 6 road starts. He's gone under this number in 5 of those. And the 6th one, he had 5 strikeouts. He's not the same pitcher on the road. I managed to get it at minus 125 earlier today when I got up this morning. It's around minus 134, 140-ish on FanDuel and DraftKings. I still like that. It's all about juice tolerance, but I think John Gray is going to struggle to strike guys out tonight. Give me under 4.5 strikeouts at minus 125 for John Gray.
We got Brian Leonard as well. Check him out, WagerTalk.com. Passing today. However, tomorrow will probably be up with some plays. We'll get his best bet for tonight. Brian, any final thoughts for the show, and what's your best bet, buddy?
Yeah, just a couple of things. I like to play for Matt on that. In fact, Quantrill, he's got one of the worst. I don't know how you can handicap it, but they don't seem to hit when Quantrill's on the mound. So that also is an effect there. In fact, that line went from 8.5 to 9.5. I'm kind of leaning with the under in that one. But my best bet on the show is just got hit at all the smart books out in Vegas, all the leaders, Circa, Westgate, and South Point. It's now up to 10. I'll still play it. Arizona, Cincinnati, over the total. Bumgarner, his actual stats, when you take a look at what he's done, he's got some pretty good stats on the season, but when you take a look at the underlying numbers on the baseballsavant.com website, all the key numbers are all in the blue, which is not good. His best stat is 8% walk rate, but other than that, he's exit velocity 90%, hard hit rate 46.2. He does throw 5 pitches, basically 4 pitches, which I like. I don't like the guys who only throw 2 pitches, but Hunter Green is one of those guys that just throws 2 pitches. His four-seamers are 53%. His sliders are 42%. And he throws a change 5%. But you got him pitching in a ballpark that is a real hitter's park here, going up against this lineup for Arizona that I like a lot. And Arizona's players walk a lot. You take a look at Hunter Green, his walk percentage is 10.9. So anytime you put a lot of runners on base and a hitter's ballpark with a guy who only throws basically 2 different types of pitches, I'm looking for the over in that regard. So I'm playing the over 10. I played it over 9.5 earlier. Now it's 10 everywhere. So unfortunately, hopefully when we teased on this a little bit earlier, you're able to get that 9.5, but still like it over the 10, and we'll play that Arizona, Cincinnati in what could be a rain-affected game. We'll play that over as the game goes on.
Brian Leonard, Diamondbacks, Reds, over the 10. We get Matt Joseph's John Gray, under 4.5 strikeouts, minus $1.25 there. And I am on the Sox, plus 105. Wrong team favored, Red Sox versus the ice-cold Angels. Huge shout-out to the chat box, guys. Really live today for a Monday. Kyle Zimmerman, X-Cal, Buck G, Paco Healy, Jeffrey Moore, just to name a couple. Thanks for the question, Patty Lopez. Anybody out there, feel free to reply below in the reply section. Wager Talk YouTube. Any questions, we'll answer them here on the show. Let us know what you're betting as well. And make sure to check out WagerTalk.com, guys. $9 Monday, all plays. 5% plays included, discounted to just $9. Check out Brian Leonard and myself, Drew Martin there. We also got Matt Joseph's Sports Memo. sportsmemo.com. Guys, we'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same place, right here on the YouTube channel. Come back and join us. Please smash that like button. Thanks for tuning in. Best of luck with your bets.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.